88.9 FM. We want to start out with a few announcements. First of all, we regret to announce the passing of Miss Serena Casabo of Force Jacques, who passed away on Sunday. She was the wife of Mr. Rufus Casabo. We want to extend condolences to the family and friends and to all the persons in Force Jacques. We know that she will be very much dearly missed. And on a lighter note, unfortunately, we have to continue though. I want to send out a special happy birthday to Mrs. Joan Hippolyte, the mayor of Soufrière. She's celebrating today. And also belated birthday greetings to Brenda Nicholas of Church Street, who celebrated on February 4th. We want to give a shout out to the different communities in Soufrière. We want to shout out Force Jacques, especially as you guys are going through a grieving period, especially the Casabo family of Force Jacques. We want to shout out Espérance. We want to shout out all the different communities, Saint Philip, Belvedere. We want to shout out Diamond. We want to shout out Etangs, Bouton, all the different communities in Soufrière, especially Baron Drive this evening. We know you guys are always tuned in. Thank you so very much. I want to shout out Bernard Haynes. Thank you so very much for joining us, Mr. Haynes, this evening. Welcome to Calixta Joseph, Deborah Cyril. Thank you so much for joining us on Let's Connect. My first guest this evening is Mr. Smith Jean-Philippe of Exciting Tours, St. Lucia. Welcome back, Mr. Jean-Philippe. It's great to have you again.
Let me say good afternoon and to everybody listening. And I must say thank you for the...
Jean-Philippe, it's great to have you again.
Yes.
Yes, so...
I must say thank you.
We know that you have your tour organization. You've been featured here before on our Let's Connect program. And this evening you've come to announce once again about your Independence Climb of Mount Jimmy, which is taking place at 6 a.m. on February 22nd, 2022. Tell us who our sponsors are for the activity, what you get when you pay for your shirt, what you get when you come on the morning. Tell us a little bit more about the event.
Well, I must say thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon to viewers all over the world who are tuned in. And there, my name is Smith Jean-Philippe. Yes, Smith Jean-Philippe. There we of Exciting Tours in Lucia, we could not have the football, due to circumstances. So we decided to come along with a climb to the summit of Mount Jimmy. And we send a few letters, although we haven't received every major stuff from the different sponsors, but we have some sponsors on board, what we do actually, we do our live shows on Facebook, and we always shouting out the sponsors, because over the years they have been sponsoring us in different field of football, the exciting football. Right. So we still see them as an exciting sponsor. So we send back to them, and I must say thank you to True Value. Due to the COVID-19, I will say the ramification of stuff, how it's been going along. If they were giving us two loaves, they give us one, and they kept the other one for somebody else, which I really appreciate. And I must say thank you for True Value, where the value is true. So that's one of our sponsors. We have Dee's Place, we have Suncom's Place in Soufrière, we have Christopher Taxi Service, we have Mano's Place in Font-Saint-Jacques, we have Priscilla Shop, Paula's Place. One of our biggest sponsor in Font-Saint-Jacques is Bigger's Place. I must say thank you for Bigger. You'll call on Bigger at any point in time for cleanup campaigns, and Bigger will always look out for us. We have Sharon's Place. We have also Silvo's Garage. They always look out for us, at any given time. So I must say thank you to all the sponsors, due to circumstances that we cannot mention every other sponsor, because, they haven't come along and say, yes, we will give you this. Not forgetting Genesis place in Soufrière. They have been with us and they continue the support. We really appreciate it. So to all the other sponsors that didn't hear the names, you all are there with us, and you will continue, which I know for a fact, they will sponsor us.
Okay, so once again, big up to True Value. Big up to Silvo's Garage, and special big up to Genesis Entertainment Bar. Thank you so very much for sponsoring the climb. I hope to be there at 6 a.m. How much is the climb currently? How much do we pay, and what do we get with when you pay your money?
Well, with the climb, the price is very reasonable, because reasonable is part of the exciting package. The price is 50 EC, and with 50 EC, you get so much that sometimes I may ask I'm asking myself, where else can you go and get that for 50 EC? 50 EC, you get a T-shirt, you get water bottle, and who knows? I'm telling you, folks, there's some great stuff will be coming afterwards. Like after the climb, there will be a barbecue kind of vibes. Yeah, after the climb. Okay. By Sabrina's Place. You know, I even forgot Sabrina's Place. You know, we have Christabel's Hideaway. All these places are with us. So, folks, there are so many sponsors that sometimes I even tend to forget the sponsors that are there with us. Clara's Place, I must say thank you to all of you folks. Appreciate it.
I guess the more sponsors we have, the more likelihood we'll have of having more stuff at the barbecue. I'm hoping there'll be fruits as well at the beginning of the climb, or maybe afterwards directly, who knows. But I find for $50 you're getting a shirt, you're getting water, you're getting a water bottle. I'm guessing it's going to be a water bottle with the sponsor's logo. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be there. 6 a.m. We're starting out where? Where's the starting point?
Well, the starting point actually will be meeting by the Fosse Jacques Catholic Church. Fosse Jacques Catholic Church, and then we'll take a ride on one of our sponsors, Solomon's place, to the trailhead, and then we start from there and to the base of the mountain, and from there we head it up, and afterwards, when you finish the climb, there's a beautiful waterfall. You can take your photo shoot down there and enjoy yourself, and then we head back up to the road and down to Fosse Jacques.
How long is it estimated, the climb? How an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? How long are you estimating the time?
Well, with the climb, for over the years we've been doing it, and different people are going along with different time. But the time itself, it's 4 hours up, 4 hours down. But depending on how good you are, we can do that in less than 4 hours up and 4 hours down.
I need to know, because if I'm going to try and attempt this, I might try and attempt it. I'm still debating.
You see? don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself.
Down, you're gonna have ambulance on standby, right? With oxygen tanks and all of that.
So you're saying if you coming along, then
yes, you need an ambulance.
That, you know, to tell you the truth, I won't answer that one, because I don't want you to be doubting yourself.
I'm not doubting. I'm just being cautious. You know, precaution is better than cure.
That's true.
So I just want to make sure that if anything arises, the ambulance is ready for me. Okay. All right.
So there, I'm saying again, folks, if you thinking of, I know people love bikes, some love football, some love cricket, but folks, I know they have hikers. I've been getting calls for the past few days. You know, people are showing interest, and the interest that they're showing is that one told me that Mount Everest, that's the tallest, one of the tallest mountains in the world, right? And all the others, we have people coming from all over the world to climb these mountains, right? And they told me they just want to reach the summit and see. They don't have to climb it again. But just the fact that, you know, every time they hear somebody talking about, I've climbed Mount Jimmy, I've done this, I've done that. So people are calling. Actually, earlier when I had a call, and one told me that just the time, 4 hours, you know, that's a lot. But I told the person, don't doubt yourself. Just think of it like you're interested in doing it. If you reach halfway, definitely we have guides. We have Miguel Joseph will be one of the guides. We have Alvon Joseph, Lionel Burton, and myself, Mr. Exciting, will be there as guides.
Okay. We want to make sure for certain, because some persons are asking in the live chat, that there for sure will be medical personnel on standby.
We haven't arranged that with that thing, but we are out working along with before we go ahead with it.
Okay, I'll work on that with you. Because I know some people will get that done for sure, because I want to try this climb. Well, the way I think we should look at it, instead of looking at it as how long it's going to take us to climb, the same way we can sit down the whole day and watch 8 hours of Netflix, we can get up and do 8 hours of walking, right? And the goal is going to be to get to the waterfall. That's how I choose to see it that way. So I will not look at it as a 4-hour hike up and a 4-hour hike down. I will look at it as 8 hours of something I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to pretend it's Netflix. I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to do some mental visualization. And we're going to get to the peak of Mount Jimmy on February 22nd, starting at 6 a.m. And how can people reach you to maybe pre-register to make sure we have enough transportation? Is there a number they can call?
Well, they can call 717-3172. That's the number to call.
717
3172. Yes. And if you coming from Castries, at the moment I had a few tickets, and Lauren Augustine at the Castries market, booth number 1, she have some tickets selling as well.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay, so once again, Smith Jeff Philip of Exciting Tours, he's having his annual instead of having our footballerama, because as you say, circumstances, and we have so many sponsors on board. We want to say thanks to the sponsors one more time, and we want to encourage all Soufriere persons, all persons in St. Lucia, those of you listening, those of you who are able to travel to undertake this wonderful endeavor, we are asking you to contact Smith Jeff Philip. He can be reached at Facebook as well, and you can call him on 717-3172 to arrange for your registration for you to do the climb. I am booking my 2X large t-shirt from now, please and thank you. I'm going to be there. I'm getting my sneakers ready. I'm going to get myself ready for this. I think it's something that we should definitely do it for the sake of adventure. We're going to try and get to that waterfall, okay? So, and have a little photo shoot and, be able to say we made it to the top of Mount Jimmy on February 22nd, 2022, starting at 6 a.m. and we're meeting at the Jacques Catholic Church, and then we're going to be transported to the base of Mount Jimmy and we're going to hike to the top. So thank you once again, Mr. Jean Philippe. Is there anybody else you would like to thank?
To tell you the truth, there are so many people that I want to shout out,
right ahead.
But I will just go ahead and not forgetting. This place next to the Marigot Secondary School, that is, she came on board, from the time she told me it was her daughter alone. And imagine when I spoke to her, she came on board and now she have at least 7 people on board. So that means Marigot is there with us already. So, I cannot not shout out this young lady.
Great.
So, folks, when driving along from Castries down to Soufriere, don't forget, if you want to eat anything or bite on anything, just remember this place. Yes.
Okay. So
Bar and Grill, that is. Don't forget, folks.
That's
I must say thank you.
Marigot, you said?
Yeah, Marigot.
All right, great. We must give them a shout out. So, Mr. Jean Philippe, it has been a pleasure having you. We hope that you're going to be coming back on for your next activity to let us know what's happening with Exciting Tours St. Lucia.
I'm telling you before I leave, folks, the guys are asking for the football. They're asking for the football. So,
it's gonna happen.
So
sure.
what I see from the different funds that we're getting from the different sponsors, it's like I'll just have to leave it there, just work along stuff, and then we can go along with the football. Who knows?
Yeah, Nimaya did promise that 2022 we would have football in St. Lucia. We would have football in Soufriere. So we're definitely going to look forward to having our football around again. Okay, it's coming.
Exciting.
We're getting everything back on track, back to Soufriere. Right?
I must say thank you. When I come, it's like, don't want to leave. I've got so much to say.
It's always a pleasure. You can always stick around. You might maybe bring it back on at the end to say something else if you have anything else you want to say. So it's up to you.
Okay. But look out for us tonight. We'll be live on Facebook.
All right. On Smith.
All the best.
Exciting
Thank you.
Tours.
Enjoy the rest of the show. Let's connect. I've already connected with them and I'll be continuing to get connected. All the best. Bye.
My mom is protected and my relationship.
My doctor is protecting me. She's vaccinated.
My aunt protected me when she got vaccinated.
COVID-19 vaccine. Being vaccinated against the virus does not only protect you, it also makes our country safer for those who cannot receive the vaccine.
Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Promoting his February 22nd Independence Day Mount Jimmy climb, and we're hoping to meet at 6 a.m. at Forces-Jacques Catholic Church. I want to give a shout out to all those of you in our Facebook live chat: Mr. Bernard Haynes, Miss Calixta Joseph, Tina Alexander, welcome to Let's Connect, Mr. Daniel Bob, Miss Cynthia Sanders all the way from Dallas, Texas, thank you for joining us. Cardia Flavius, thank you so very much. Florius, sorry. I want to welcome you all to Let's Connect on 88.5 Super FM. My guest this evening, Miss Nancy Nicholas. Nancy Nicholas is a true daughter of the soil. She was born and bred in Barons Drive, Soufrière. So big up to Barons Drive one more time. She is the last of 10 children. She has many achievements under her belt, both academically and vocationally. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, a Bachelor of Arts in Romance Languages, a postgraduate degree in International Economics, postgraduate degree in Contemporary Diplomacy, Master of Arts in International Affairs, and a postgraduate degree in Education Modern Languages. She was a member of the St. Lucia Foreign Service from 2004 to 2017. She served as head of the Embassy of St. Lucia in Havana, Cuba. She was a lecturer at the Antigua State College from 2017 to 2021. She is currently the Senior Foreign Service Officer and head of the Political and Economic Department of the Foreign Ministry. Welcome to Let's Connect, Nancy Nicholas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Reneata. Thank you for having me. Allow me to greet the people of Soufrière and the environs in its entirety, and a special shout out to the heart of Soufrière, Barons Drive. Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Bernard Haynes says he wishes you're going to be going on this climb on February 22nd.
I am not that adventurous, Bernard. Sorry to disappoint you.
Yes, so Nancy has all these achievements under her belt. So I was hoping this evening that she's going to be able to give our listeners some tips on how to excel as wonderfully as she has. And I'm hoping that our listeners will send in their questions as well in our live chat on Facebook, on 88.5's Facebook page. So if you are not on our Facebook Live and you would like to send us a question, please join us on the live so that you can send the questions to be read live on air. So first of all, I would like to ask, what would you consider to be the driving force behind your success?
This is an interesting question because there were many driving forces, but most paramount of all was Barons Drive. Barons Drive motivated me. The conditions of life in Barons Drive inspired me to rise above those challenges. And of course, coming from a strong family network, my siblings, my older siblings, my parents, we had a very tight network. And my parents always instilled in us that there was no shame in poverty, but there was great shame to be had in dishonesty. And that our way out of poverty was to educate ourselves sufficiently. And so it was strange enough, it might sound a bit paradoxical, but it was poverty that motivated me, or the fear of poverty, or the fear of remaining in an impoverished situation all my life, that motivated me to excel and to aspire. And may I add, I am still aspiring. I will never stop aspiring, because for me, that is lifelong.
Well, very well said, Nancy. I always am amazed just to listen to her you talk. The vocabulary is always outstanding. I have to give you kudos on that. and to see that you have your degree in romantic languages. I would love to hear you speak Italian one of these good days.
Well, it's not romantic, it's romance too.
Romance
yeah, but I don't know about speaking Italian. Perhaps I could try. Maybe I wouldn't give myself too much credit in that area. But definitely, I have always had a love for languages. I think growing up, Creole was my first language. I grew up where I heard Creole more than I heard English. And even when the stigma was attached to Creole, speaking Creole, my parents never discouraged it. They just ensured that we had a very strong background English-wise, and we were free to speak Creole. And that in itself, that bilingual nature that we have, is something that we should really cherish as St. Lucians, because it makes it easier for language acquisition. Children who are born into bilingual situations are naturally more inclined to acquire a second language. So the love for languages started, and I must credit persons like Miss Priska Charles, who was my mentor, for instilling that profound love for French, as well as Miss Dawn Cadet, who is now Mrs. Blass. Those two persons were very instrumental in developing and fomenting a love for the languages, which I have carried on throughout my life.
Wow. You spoke about the whole family orientation growing up in Barons Drive, and with us coming upon our 43rd independence anniversary, I would like to know, what do you think about introducing our Creole language in schools or in as a CXC syllabus perhaps, and how it would benefit us in St. Lucia?
I think it is way overdue for many reasons. This is our heritage. This is part of our patrimony. This is part of our culture, of which we should all be proud. And I do not foresee us taking it right now straight into perhaps the CXC subject, but we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. We must begin that kind of dialogue. The transition must be there, that we can incorporate our own indigenous language as part of our school curriculum. Even if it is just perhaps at first as an extracurricular, even if it's just something that is not to be tested at the CXC level in the initial stages, but we must begin somewhere. We must nurture a love. We must nurture a desire for that language to thrive, because this is authentically ours.
Agreed. I was very happy to hear in last week's Parliament presentation so many of our parliamentarians speaking Creole, and bridging that gap between, our elderly persons who listen, and sometimes some of our English words are not things that they know, but then when you can repeat it in patois, and even on the show Dusauzay, which I think was on Sunday evening, and to hear our district representative Emma Hippolyte speaking patois and almost repeating her entire parliament speech in the Creole language, it was amazing to hear. And I feel that, like you said, it is something that we should be proud of, that this is part of our patrimony and something that we need to endeavor to keep going. We need to keep it alive. We need to give our children the opportunity to learn it, give our children the opportunity to speak it, give them a love of our language, and not just to be forcing English down their throats all the time.
I totally agree.
Okay, what would you define as excellence?
Excellence for me is an art. It is something that you're either born with or something that is nurtured. But it is something that can be achieved at any point in your life, at any station, at any level in your life. It is simply the art of doing what you do to the best of your ability and leaving no room for, regret. It is doing something, staying true to that you are doing, remaining focused, and executing it with a kind of elegance that makes it enviable. So for me, excellence is the art of doing something well. That is what excellence is to me. And of course, it is not something that you achieve haphazardly. It is something that you must work at. You can't expect to achieve excellence if you do not put the effort. It requires sacrifice, it requires effort, it requires a sort of single-minded devotion to whichever cause that you are endeavoring to excel at. And that is absolutely necessary.
I love when you said elegance that makes it enviable.
Yes.
I think this is going to be the quote of the evening. That was very well said. So what kind of tips would you give for those pursuing academia specifically? Because we have a lot of A-level students, UWI students in St. Lucia, and I'm so proud of them trying to further their education. You have gone so far with education. What tips could you give those specifically, those pursuing academia?
You said specifically those pursuing academia, but let me just stick a pin in there and say that I don't want this to think that we could only excel in academia. Excellence is universal. So I used to say, and I often used to say what my mother would have taught me, if you are cleaning the gutter, make sure you clean it with pride. If you are scaling fish, scale that fish excellently. So in essence, whatever you are doing, whatever your task, wherever you are, the excellence emerges when you do it to the very best of your ability. And so how would I encourage people to excel academically? I would say, give it your best. Do not stop. Do not settle for mediocrity. If you believe that there is space for improvement, go for it. If you believe that you can achieve more, go for it. I recall when I finished my my postgraduate degrees, I said, look, I'm not studying anymore. And within a matter of about a year, I was on a plane headed to Africa to pursue another degree. After that time, I said, you know what, this is it. I was pulling off hairs and I was having late sleepless nights. I had my 2 children with me. I was in a far away land and I had no family there, of course. I was the only Caribbean person at the university or in that part of West Africa for the time. And I said, that's it for me. No sooner had I returned, I started feeling a bit shabby. And I needed to do something more. So my thing is pursue excellence, pursue your desire, pursue what you want. And if you have a dream, don't ever let it die. You see, I often tell my children when they compare themselves, I say, when you have popcorn, you put all the kernels in the oil at the same time. It's the same oil, it's the same heat, it's the same pot, but they all pop at different times. And that should tell us we all have our time. We cannot get discouraged because we started something together with someone else, but they have finished before us and we're still struggling. No. You are never a failure unless you accept defeat as permanent and you quit trying. So the key to excellence and perseverance is to never give up and don't ever quit. And for me, that's what it is. Don't give up, don't quit.
That's true. I like that popcorn analogy you use with your children. And I hope that they don't compare themselves so often because they're both very unique and special in their own way.
They are 2 butterflies with different colors, but they are both very, very beautiful in my sky. So I have taught them not to compare themselves, not only not to compare themselves among each other, but do not compare yourself to anybody. Because the virtue of all achievement is victory over yourself. And if you know that, you can never know defeat. So it's not arrogant to say that you are never defeated. It is the mindset with which you say that. And if you consider that your competition is yourself, and the virtue of all your achievement is victory over yourself, to better yourself than what you were yesterday, then in that sense, you won't know defeat. But if you continue to compare yourself to this other person or that other person, then you're creating a fertile ground for disillusionment and discouragement, which eventually leads to the death of many dreams. So I say, don't give up. Seek your excellence. Pursue your path. We all have our paths. And whatever you do, wherever you are, do it with a degree of elegance that makes the task enviable.
Last week we had our Nobel Laureate poetry competition.
Yes.
And your daughter was one of our participants.
Yes.
And I loved her presentation. I loved her vocabulary. I loved the visual aspect of it all. Did she give any feedback to how the outcome of the competition is? Anything you could share with us in terms of her feedback towards how the outcome?
Well, yeah, naturally she was just happy to be participating. I mean, she joined in quite late. If you recall, when I was asking you about it, it was almost like a day before it was due. Yes. The deadline, a day before the deadline. And she came to me and she said, I really want to write this poem. I have been writing poetry for a very long time. I have been a very avid writer. I love writing. Language, passion, writing, literature. I love everything to do with literature. And I think she is inheriting that from both of her parents, if I should say so. And so she has a history of writing poems, and she won the literary award in Antigua a few months ago for one of her poetries entitled Beautiful Disaster, which chronicled COVID-19 as a beautiful disaster. And so she wanted to take part. And naturally, as the parent who is always so solicitous for the welfare and advancement of my children, I told her to go ahead. She created what I considered in my mind to be a masterpiece. And I was just very proud of her, very proud of the way she used language, very proud of how she enunciated her words and how she delivered the poetry. And I know my daughter is new to Soufriere. They've just come back. So I was even more proud, even happier, that she was willing to participate in something that was practically new to her. So her feedback was that she was just happy that she participated, and she loved what she did.
And what she came up with in such a short period of time, I was wondering where she got those images. I was like, did you drive her around? Because I have never seen some of those photos.
Well, I didn't drive her around, but I would probably say I happen to have some good friends who have good resources, who probably very much helped me in that regard.
All right, that's great. I know that you guys have been in Cuba, Antigua, and Africa. There's this, I'm trying to remember who, there's this quote, but I can't recall it right now, and I didn't.
Whereforth is the Negro's home? Is that it? No?
No.
Okay.
It's something relating to how well you do when you visit other countries.
Oh.
And your children, I know at this point, have been exposed to so many different cultures, and how would you say that it has affected them in the way that you specifically have seen? Maybe if you look at them versus children that have never left St. Lucia, what differences can you see that the traveling, the cultural experiences has done for them?
I think it has. Children by nature are very adaptable. They adapt very quickly. So transitions are not, they can be hard, but they're not as hard on children as they would be on an adult. And the children, they were born in Cuba, so that's the birthplace. And they've traveled to, as you have mentioned, rightfully so, many countries, of course, in great part because of where work took me and where my pursuit of excellence took me. And so they have always accompanied me. It has created in them a sort of a global citizen, where they are able to have discussions and discourse and talk about things that perhaps the average, in case of my son, the average 11-year-old may not be able to discuss because of what he has experienced, what he has lived. So I think it is a wonderful opportunity to anybody who has the chance to allow their children to explore beyond the shores of the country, beyond the Caribbean. I think if you have the means and the opportunity and the time, that you should do so, because it is something that they can cherish. It is something that they will hold dear, and it is something that helps form the individual. It helps to build the individual. And sometimes I had regrets that perhaps I'm moving them around too much, but in the end, I always say, you know what, I perhaps don't see the benefit now, but I know they will be better for it.
I agree with that. Like you said, you might not see it now, but I definitely see it. The way your children speak, just to hear them speak. Although probably just living in a house with you would do that. But I am truly amazed when I hear them speak, well, and it's always amazing to
Reneata,
me.
It's amazing. What people remember about me most is my vocabulary and how I speak. I don't know, perhaps it's not even intentional for me. I read a lot. As a child growing up, my parents did not forward the television too much. I lived in Barron's Drive. You could hear the houses were small. We were in between. My parents wanted us inside the house by 6 o'clock. So by 6 o'clock, you had to have your nightie powdered and you were inside the house. You were not going out. I had a sister, and most of my sisters, the gifts to me were books. And so I didn't have the average doll and toy that the average child had. I remember my brother, 5, Felix Nicholas, at a very young age, he gave me a book to read. And it was The Art of War by Sun Tzu. A very young age. I was not even in secondary school yet, I think. And he insisted that I read the book. And he would say, if you read something and you don't understand a word, you underline it and you go to the dictionary. And so I did that for almost every book I read. I had a love affair with a dictionary. I love languages, so I wanted to use a different word each time. I didn't want to use the same word writing, and so I made it my duty and my responsibility to, armor myself with a good enough diction. I'm still learning. Every day I learn a new word, and this is what I want to say as tips for learning as you go through. You're going to learn something new every day. Be prepared for that. You're going to encounter a different experience every day. Be prepared for that. Do not see anything as bad knowledge. There is no bad knowledge. There is information that you may not favor, but it is not bad knowledge because you could always learn from it. Learning does not only take place in a classroom or in a university. Learning takes place anywhere to the person who is receptive to that kind of learning. So for example, you could learn something on the road, you could learn something just sitting by the sea, you could learn something on your bike, you could learn on the internet, you could learn from friends. Learning, the art of learning and knowledge acquisition can happen anywhere. I do not put too much store on academics, strange as it might sound, but I prefer intelligence. I prefer knowledge because some persons are just not inclined to academia. That doesn't make them less intelligent than me or the person who has pursued a doctorate. That doesn't make the person who has so many degrees more capable at his or her job than the person who has experience. So I am saying, for me, excellence is an amalgamation of everything, but more so it is the attitude. The attitude that you embody is going to determine how far you reach and how excellent you are at what you do. Okay, so it's not just academics for me. I would love to see, as a matter of fact, a lot more vocational education in Soufrière and in St. Lucia as a whole.
Agreed.
I would love to see a hybrid, a blend, a careful a marriage, a harmonious communion between the academics and the vocational. And if you could encompass both of them, which is why I particularly love Soufrière Comprehensive, my alma mater, one of the greatest schools in St. Lucia, I dare say, without any fear of being, contested. I think Soufrière Comprehensive is by far one of the greatest schools if you take into consideration the caliber of students that we get and the kind of individuals that we send out.
Right.
So the blend of academics and vocation, technical education, is what made me choose Soufrière Comprehensive as the school for my children, and I hope for my grandchildren as well. So yes, academia is great. Yes, I have had a love affair, a very long love affair, and I have not finished, by the way. It might be a bit premature to say, but something else is in the making and something else is coming. But I am also encouraging everybody to, one, pursue your passion where you are. Do what you love most. Change that passion into your prosperity. If academia is not your thing, find your passion, pursue your passion, be purposeful about your passion, and change that passion into your prosperity. And that is the essence of great living, the essence of excellence, and the essence of a life well lived.
Agreed, 100%. Choose what you love and do it well. I want to give a big shout out to one of your former students in the chat right now, the Charlene Charles.
Hi, Charlene. Buenos días. Buenas tardes, Charlene. ¿Cómo estás? Charlene was a student of mine at Soufrière Comprehensive, and I had the pleasure of being her head of mission when I was at the embassy of St. Lucia in Havana when she was one of our nursing students. So, good night, Charlene.
All right. I want to touch on Cuba for a little while. I have heard you speak so often about
Cuba, yes.
About Cuba, about Fidel Castro. Tell us a little bit about your time there. What are your fondest memories? Your the best thing to eat in Cuba, the best place to go in Cuba. Give us a little juice.
Cuba is beautiful. Cuba is a gem in the rough in the heart of the Caribbean, because it is a Caribbean island. I had the honor of representing St. Lucia at a very tender age. I was only 26 when the government of St. Lucia chose me to head the mission, the diplomatic mission in Cuba. At the time, I did it alone, just myself and a driver. And it was a time of great collaboration between Cuba and St. Lucia. We had over 500 and something students there. If you recall, the 235 students that who were pursuing nursing only. In addition to our students, we had the Mission Milagro, where we were sending persons with problems with the eyes to go to Cuba. We had a lot of bilateral engagements. So Cuba-St. Lucia relations during that time was at an all-time high. And I was honored and I felt very proud to have been chosen, selected to represent my country at that level. I learned a lot during my journey there because I remained there from 2006 until 2013 in various capacities throughout those 6 years. I remained there. Cuba is the birthplace of my children. Cuba is a place of great memory for me because it was in Cuba that I would have encountered the person with which I share my life and who became ultimately the father of my children, my spouse. And so we created some great personal memories there. I was happy to serve the people of St. Lucia because I believe my life should be one of service. My life should be one of perpetual service to the good of country. Service to God, service to country, service to family, service to self. And this is how I view it. So yes, I served there. I represented St. Lucia. I took care of our students, our nurses. There are many students who would have come to us, many individuals whom we assisted during the time. So Cuba was not, I didn't get to experience Cuba as the tourist would. I was engrossed in diplomatic endeavor. But whenever I got the chance, which I did quite often, I would go to this very lovely place called Varadero in Cuba. I would go to Matanzas. I would go to Pinar del Rio, to Vinales, those beautiful places, because Cuba is very big on ecotourism, on health tourism, and so forth. What is the best thing to eat in Cuba? I hear they say it is arroz congri, rice, and red rice cooked with red beans, and Cubans love the pork. But I cooked most of my meals, most times, because I don't eat a lot of things. So I cooked most of my meals most times. I particularly love the fact Cuba has some great rum, not that I imbibed any, but Cuba has some excellent rum. Cuba has some excellent culinary experiences, so I enjoyed every aspect of Cuba. I enjoyed the excellent medical care. When I was in Cuba, I felt so secure medically. I felt that I might not have died if anything were to happen to me. Mm-hmm. And indeed, Cuba came to the rescue of myself, my son, and my daughter. And we were blessed to have been in the hands of Cuban doctors who saved all of us. And so Cuba for me is a place that holds a very special memory. I often joke with the Cubans when they tell me, when are you coming back to your homeland? And I would tell them, well, I left you 2 placentas. So you could deal with that for now. But yes, it is a place worthy of visiting. So if you ever get the chance to visit Cuba, I would say go for it.
Oh, I definitely hope to one day.
I did not get to meet Fidel Castro in person because at the time, he had taken ill and he was not having too many visits. But I did have a few encounters with, Raul Castro and the good old friend of Cuba, Hugo Chavez, whom I have missed so much as a leader on the global fraternity. So I am thankful for my Cuban experience. It nurtured in me a sort of a revolutionary spirit. To see how the Cubans with so little did so much, and to note the resilience of the Cuban people who did not sit down and say, well, we don't have this and America has placed an embargo over us and we can't function. No, they broke through the struggles, and that is the lesson I take from Cuba. Yes, they're communist. Yes, they have the problems. Yes, they have the challenges, but I don't get involved in the politics of any nation. That is for them to deal with. I look at the other aspects of diplomacy. That is not the politics, which is the people aspect. And to see the resilience of the Cuban people who will build something out of nothing, I think that is an example that many countries in the Caribbean, especially the populations of those countries, can take into consideration and use as an example.
Very well said. Once again, for those of you who joined us late, we have with us in studio Nancy Nicholas, who is wowing everybody in the chat. We're getting so many wonderful comments. I want to welcome those of you who are coming to Let's Connect for the first time. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Miss Nancy Nicholas, now is the time. Please send all questions to our Facebook live chat. We are on 88.5 Super FM, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you have any questions, please send it to the live chat. We have about 15 minutes left on the program. I do recall a comment asking why we started earlier than usual. We have been starting at 5:30 for a while now, because when we start at 6, we have to end at 7 for the news. But if we start at 5:30, we have a little leeway. So if we have to go extra, we can go extra. So for those of you who were wondering why we start at 5:30 now, that is the reason. And thanks for paying attention to the change in the time. So once again, if you have any, I'm paying attention to the live chat. I'm just making sure that we don't miss anything. So if anybody has any questions while we have Nancy Nicholas on live, please send it to our chat on Facebook. Sorry. Okay, so we started a whole conversation about excellence and how to excel in life and to do what you are passionate about and to do it well. We know that sometimes you're passionate about something, but life comes about. You meet somebody and your path diverts for different reasons. You fall ill, or there's a loss that you take some time to overcome. Is there any tips on maintaining discipline?
Of course. Life will throw many curveballs our way. I'm sure the way my life has turned out is not how I planned it. And sure, for many of us, that's the experience that we've had. We didn't marry the person we thought we would marry. We didn't build the kind of house we thought we would build, but we had to do something. So life will throw you a curveball. It's not the curveball that matters. It's what happens after that ball is thrown at you. How do you navigate the challenges? How do you go through these tumultuous times? How do you go through that raging sea? And that boils down to an attitude first of gratitude. Because whatever comes your way, you have to see it. Well, for me, I see it as part of the conspiracy of the universe to place me exactly where I am meant to be. So I might be disappointed. I might be, with sour grapes, thinking, it should have gone that way. But then I am left to ponder. And quiet reflection is very important. I think it was Socrates who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So when you get that curveball, you have to examine why it came. Was there a message, a subliminal message? Was I going somewhere too fast? Did the universe need to stop me? And what lesson am I learning from that? Okay, I was planning to go to university, but I fell sick. Is that an indication that I should pay more attention to my health? But having fallen sick, what do you do after you recover? Do you still pursue that dream? It depends on whether you still have the same passion. It depends on whether that flame is still burning. It depends on whether you still harbor the same orientation for your life. But what I am going to say is, regardless of the challenges, regardless of what obstacle you face, you have to summon all the courage that you have and rise above that obstacle, because you are greater than it. You are greater than the obstacle. And if you want to choose to do something about it, then you do that. If you want to pursue a particular course of action, you pursue it, if that is your dream. The important thing is to be single-minded, devoted, and be sure that that is what you want to do. And if you are sure and resolute that that is what you want to do, then you put in the work, you embrace the attitude, you go for it, you pursue it until you get it. Not at your own peril, of course, because the pursuit of excellence has to come with a certain degree of maturity, that you have to be able to understand when that pursuit is futile, when to continue or when to pull away, when to redirect your orientation, when to take stock of what you're doing. And it is at that point that we call in for quiet reflection. Is that still the way to go? Am I still able to pursue that? Or am I now being put in a position where I am forced to take a different approach? Those are questions you will have to ask yourself. You will have to pray about. I am a very spiritual person. I pray about everything. Sometimes even the meal I'm going to cook, I'm going to pray about it, whether my children will like it. Is that the right idea? So we have to do that. It has to be a holistic pursuit. It has to be a pursuit of the soul. It has to be a pursuit of the mind, and it has to be a pursuit of the body. The mind, the body, and the soul must always travel in unison in order to pursue that excellence which you will execute so elegantly to make it enviable.
Very well said, Nancy. We just have a couple of questions. Let me first answer the first one. No, the discussion for tonight was actually on tips on excelling. It did not specifically connect to independence. We have a question for you, Nancy. How did being in Cuba affect your mental health?
Well, being in Cuba did not affect my mental health negatively at all. I think I was in the best shape of my life, both physically and mentally, while I was in Cuba. Yes, Cuba can be seen as a hard place, but I think it's my mindset. Well, I'm not going to say it shouldn't affect somebody else, because it affected many students that I know that we had to send some back home. Some couldn't deal with the stress, but I am like a fish, literally. I function very well under pressure, and I embrace a positive mindset in everything. Okay? Yes, I'm going to see the obstacle, I'm going to see the problem, but I choose to see that little light always. In every situation, I choose to find my light. And I always tell myself, like I say to my children, find that little light. And it is when it is darkest that the light shines brightest. You're not going to see a candle. You're not going to see the beauty of the flame of a candle in light. Mm-hmm. You're only going to see the beauty and the potency of a candle in the darkness. Mm-hmm. And so if you're at a point in your life which is absolutely dark, find that light, because there is a light somewhere. And once you find that light, use it to illuminate your path. This is my mindset. This is what has helped me to survive many countries, Cuba, Mexico, Africa, wherever I've been, China. I have found my light. I have allowed the light to shine. And it is that mindset that allowed me to thrive very well, mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally in Cuba.
We have another question. How did you reintegrate back into St. Lucian society on your return?
Well, I am 100% St. Lucian. So for me, I never left. I get that question often, and I always tell people, for me, I leave St. Lucia, but for me, it's like Hotel California. I simply check out. Mm-hmm. I always come back. So the reintegration was not too difficult. I lived overseas, but I carried St. Lucia everywhere. I connected with my people on social media, so I never felt like I was away. I connected with my family. I spoke my language everywhere I want. I cooked the food that I like, which is the St. Lucian green fig, saltfish, boape, dashin, tete d'oade, whenever I could. I cooked the food that I like. I ate the food that I like. I carried my St. Lucianness with me wherever I went. So reintegrating, really, it was just like coming out of my living room, going into my balcony. That's it.
Awesome. Bernard Haynes is asking that you speak directly to his children in terms of encouraging them to continue reading, or to read more, I should say.
Yes, Bernard. Although I know Bernard is quite capable of inculcating that into his children, but yes, to Bernard Haynes' children, at the request of your father, do read a lot. Put down the gadgets for a while. You know, this really bothers me. The fact that we have now allowed the gadgets to become a tyrant in the lives of our children. Mm-hmm. I call it the tyranny of technology. Technology is now dictating almost everything that our children do. So they are crying, and we don't want to instill in them that kind of behavior. We hand them the tablets. So from a very early age, the child turns to the tablet as a form of solace. The child turns to the phone, and technology dictates the emotions, the associations, the amount of time they spend. So parents, if I could just admonish, take the gadgets away for a while and replace it with a book. You know, I recall my children would often tell people, my mother doesn't know how to buy any gifts. All she knows how to buy is books, which is true. And what I did is, your environment is going to determine a lot. So in my house, well, in Antigua that is, every wall had a bookshelf. So everywhere my children turned, they saw books. I saw books. So there was a natural psychological attachment to a book. Right? And my daughter only got a cell phone about 2 days ago, because she pleaded with me that she has WhatsApp groups and she's the only one. And I saw the utility and the necessity of it. But of course, I see students just wedded to their phones. That's all they know. And they become a different person if they don't have it. So I'm going to just make a plea, a clarion call to the parents. Take away the phones for a little while and hand them a book. And let us see if we could engender a different response. Our children, some of them don't know how to spell. because they spell like Facebook language or WhatsApp language. So they spell cool with a K, they spell though with THO, never knowing that it is spelled differently. And they write the same way for CXC, they write the same way for the exams. Let us try to help our students, our children, by encouraging them. And you yourself, the parent, read a book too, because your child is watching you. I cannot tell my children go read a book when they never see me reading a book. So you have to, if you have to be the change, if I should indulge in cliches, you have to be the change that you want to see.
I agree. Like Michael Jackson said, start with yourself.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are very near to the end of our show. So Nancy, I would beseech you to take a few minutes to give a shout out to anybody you'd like to reach out to. I know you mentioned your brother Five. You've mentioned 2 of your mentors. Is there anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to?
I will shout out, of course, my entire family. My sister Murdy, I love you very much. I know you might be tuning in. My sister has always been my backbone, my support, and I wish you well. I know we will come back from whatever it is. I am there with you spiritually. I'm praying for you. I love you very much. Annie, my big sister Jude, Joy, my master brother, Don, Ronnie, Rufus, Felix, all of them, and all my nieces and nephews. Just want to let you know that I'm here. I'm back. I expect them to take care of me, of course. But I came back really to everybody, and I'm just shouting out all of Sufre, all my friends everywhere. Shoma Hippolyte, my very, very dear friend, secretary at the Sufre Comprehensive School. I'm happy to be back, and I just want to say, I came back because I wanted to do a good thing, not necessarily a big thing, just a good thing. And so let us all join together in doing a good thing, not just for ourselves, for Sufre. We owe it to Sufre. This is our sublime duty. This is our mission. We owe it to Sufre. We owe it to our generations. I could have lived anywhere I wanted to be in St. Lucia. I chose to come back and live in Sufre, traveling every day back and forth, because Sufre is home. And Sufre is where the heart resides. So I'm happy to be back. Thanks for the warm welcome, and I'll see you guys around.
All right, wonderful. I want to once again thank all our listeners on 88.5 Sufre FM, those of you tuned into our Facebook Live, those of you on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. I want to once again remind you of our February 22nd Mount Jimmy climb starting at 6 a.m. at the Fort Saint-Jacques Catholic Church grounds.
Are you really going to be climbing?
I'm seriously considering it. I may collapse halfway, but I'm gonna.
Don't say that. There again, the negativity. Do not.
I'm not worried. I'm just worried.
But
I've never attempted that great of a climb.
But there is power in the spoken word.
Yes,
there is power in the spoken word. So let us speak positivity. Right.
I'm gonna make it to that waterfall.
Right. That's what it is.
February 22nd. I also want to beseech everybody to participate in the independence activities. If you're not sure what activities are coming up, there's a hairstyle competition I'm looking forward to. There is a beautifying your business doorway competition, and there is the
baton relay.
Right.
There is the there are a series of other things. I know we have a canoe race.
Check out the Sufre Constituency Council's Facebook page for all information. Every Friday in the month of February, wear your flag colors, please, and you can always post it and tag the council, tag the constituency group, so that we know that you're participating. Encourage others to participate, and just like you said, we're there for Sufre. Let us try and make it better. Let us try and be excellent in all ways. And once again, thank you so very much, Nancy, for joining us on Let's Connect. Until next week, Tuesday, we're hoping that we're going to have a Valentine's Day poetry competition for next week. I'm still trying to get it together, trying to get the flyer out, trying to get all the prizes organized. So those of you who participated last week and you are between the ages of 18 to 40, that is the age limit, because we want the poem to be about intimate love. We're going to be posting soon, so you know where to submit. And we're going to be announcing the prizes. We're still trying to get everything organized, so look out for that for next week, Tuesday. Until then, you've been with us on Let's Connect. Till next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.